Hi, and I'm back. Oops, microphone. There's been quite a bit of a time lapse between the last vid and this one. I had a lot of work to do. I had to cook, I had to put my son to sleep and all that. And I realized that it's not going to be 3 videos, it's going to be 4 of them, because I realized that I didn't really go too much into the current politics and all this ninjutsu stuff. So first I need to talk about, to expose more of the BS, I need to talk about supposedly how it started and the so-called unbroken lineage, which that is BS. We're going to get into that in a moment. And I have to go into that before I then go into talking about the people who are supposedly the masters of today. I mean, I know I promised I'd be talking about it here, but I realize that there's some other stuff I have to get out the way first. So, sorry about that, guys, if this is getting to be too unbearable for you. You don't gotta watch all this at once. Anyways, yeah. The first thing we need to realize is, okay, again, as I said in the first vid, no one really seems to be able to give a concrete date or a concrete time as to when ninjutsu started. But they do know that it at least came out of 2 main areas in ancient Japan, the Iga and Koga provinces. Again, this is not news for anyone who knows about ninjutsu. But the interesting thing is, there were all these different little mini schools throughout these areas, and they've pretty much died out. Now, I'm going to not get too much into all the different names of all the different schools, because that's going to, again, make this even longer than it already is, and stuff like that. But you can do the research, it's out there. But I will say this much. Out of all, obviously, any person with a thinking mind realizes that these ninja schools pretty much died out. There's the Bujinkan, which is started by Masaki Hatsumi. A lot of people know who that dude is. He claims to have a line coming from the Iga. And, you know, his master and his master reform, all that studied from at least 3 different ninjutsu schools that came from the Iga one. There's also the Koga line, which I've noticed a few people are claiming to be from the Koga line. Most of them are fakes, if not all of them, because the Koga line has actually been broken for quite some time. The last reported person to supposedly know Koga-style ninjutsu or ninjutsu from that particular province was Iseko Fujita. He was supposedly the last Koga ninja. He died on January 4th of 1966. I believe it was cirrhosis of the liver. And he had no students. None of his descendants had continued to practice the form, and he even publicly claimed while he was still alive that ninjutsu would die with him. I think that's something that a lot of people tend to overlook. That was the last recorded authentic ninja, at least from the Koga line, and he said, this shit's gonna die with me. No one's gonna learn from me. And he died, that's it. So any people later on talking about, oh, I happen to learn these ninja skills from the Koga school, or I happen to know this from the Koga school, most likely they're bullshitting you, because the last known dude kicked the bucket and hadn't passed on his skills. Now I know some people are going to be talking about, oh well, the secret scrolls have been around and this guy has a copy of the secret Koga scrolls. I'm about to get into that in a minute. Alright? Now as far as the Iga line goes, as far as I know, there's 3 particular schools that have supposedly been passed down. There's the Togaku Ryu, I hope I pronounced that one right. I'm reading this off my notes. The Kumogoku Ryu and the Gyokushin Ryu. Those 3. Now, of those 3 that I've mentioned, the first and the last ones are being held in contention. The middle one, the Kumogoku Ryu, I said that wrong. The Kumogaku Ryu. Kumogoku Ryu. Damn it! My Japanese is lousy. Okay, I'll put the links up so you guys see exactly what I'm talking about. I'll put it in the text. It won't be a link. It'll just be flavor text. Yeah, the middle one I mentioned, that one's considered legitimate, but the Togaku Ryu and the Gyokushin Ryu, those are being held in contention. The Gyokushin Ryu, they noticed that that's the same name as a Jiu-Jitsu school way back in feudal Japan. By the way, the ones who are contending this is the actual, oh man, I forgot there's an organization in Japan that actually recognizes ancient martial arts to see if they're legitimate or not, okay? And these guys are saying that the Gyokushin one is being held in contention. They're kind of that one's suspect because it could possibly just be another jiu-jitsu school. There's in the old tablet, like old documents and old texts are saying that it was a jiu-jitsu school back then, not necessarily a ninjutsu school. Others are saying it's a ninjutsu school, but they share the same name, so who knows? Then there's the Togakuri. Now, the reason why that one is being held in contention is because currently, supposedly, the only guy who has those documents is Masaki Hatsumi, the current ninja grandmaster of today. And he refuses to let anybody have their hands on these documents. He will not send them off to be authenticated. He will not let them out of his sight. He claims that people can come and look at them, but they must remain in his presence at all times. And he will not let them leave his domain or his hands. So there's a standoff going on there. So until then, Japan's not recognizing it as an official ninja school. Now, that being said, with all these different scrolls, we then go back to, let's say, the Koga ones, which again, the lineage broke with Fujita. There are other scrolls floating around, and I don't know the names of all of them, unfortunately, but I do know that there's pretty much only two types of so-called ninja scrolls, ancient ninja scrolls, that are being passed around in Japan. Well, I shouldn't say being passed around, but the ones that are known of in Japan to be authentic. The first types were stuff that I think were written by a few samurai and spoken of by the samurai, and they're kind of vague. They only talk about sneaking, like tactics on how to sneak around and remain undetected, and on ways of gathering information. Basically, in other words, all it is just stuff on espionage and spying. Nothing on unarmed fighting techniques, nothing on the ninjutsu itself, just on this is how you're going to remain, this is how to sneak around so you don't get caught, and here's some of the best ways to gather info. And they more like talk about these things, not necessarily describe how to do them. Then you have other ones that are written in Kanbun. Kanbun is basically a form of Chinese that the Japanese made. It's an ancient form, basically, of the language before they moved on to what they now know as Japanese. So right away, that's a hard language to decipher. Then you get the fact that the techniques written in there are pretty damn vague. If you didn't know anything about the school that these scrolls were written, like the schools that actually made these scrolls, if you know nothing about their techniques or how they describe techniques, then even if you can translate those scrolls today, you really wouldn't be able to get much from them. So that kind of destroys any claim by somebody claiming, well, you know, I have the secret Koga scrolls and my master, you know, deciphered them for me, or I've deciphered them. Bullshit. Please. Garbage. So this pretty much nails things down to about the only... There's more of a chance that if you were having a so-called ninjutsu teacher teaching you that style, if they're saying that they're Koga, most likely they're fakes. If they're saying that their lineage is from the Iga province, then things might be looking a little better, but keep in mind even that's being held in contention. And generally it's accepted that the dude had to have been trained, or at least been trained from somebody from Masaki Hatsumi. If he claims to be under somebody else and they have no connection to this dude, then most likely they're fakes too. But just because the guy's from Hatsumi doesn't necessarily mean he's real also. And now I'm going to get into the next and hopefully last video where we start talking about the people themselves. I'm going to be talking about 4 of them. 2 of them, definite fakes. The other 2 are being contested. But considering that there are people out there who are trying to tell you that all 4 are legitimate, it helps to know the skinny behind all of them. So, tune in to the next vid, hopefully the last one, and we'll get into those guys.